We are always told that Dubai became rich thanks to great vision and economic acumen. But the truth is, this entire prosperity is just an illusion hanging by a thin thread less than 40 kilometers wide, the Strait of Hormuz. If you zoom out from the skyscrapers, you will see a harsh reality. Dubai does not control its own destiny. Just one major incident, one miscalculation at this bottleneck, and the city will immediately feel the suffocating changes. Why does the world allow such a critical weakness to exist? And is this the final chapter of the desert miracle? This video will give you an unprecedented perspective on the fragility of power and why Dubai's end seems to have been predetermined from the very beginning. Dubai is not just a city, it is a statement. Looking at these skyscrapers piercing through the clouds, you will see the embodiment of alluring arrogance. An oasis of steel and glass, where gravity is merely a suggestion, and money can conquer even the arid desert. They say Dubai has broken free from the curse of black gold. Only 1% of GDP comes from oil? An impressive figure. It makes the whole world believe that Dubai has built an immortal empire on sand without the black blood from the Earth's core. But take a closer look at that perfect layer of makeup. Have you ever wondered, how can a place without oil, without resources, nurture such extreme luxury? Have they really found the formula for immortality, or is it all just a high-stakes geographical gamble? The truth is, Dubai looks like a city that cannot fail, but all this luxury ultimately has to return and kneel before a ridiculously narrow strait, just a few hours away by sea. Do you hear the ticking of the geopolitical clock? Or are you still busy checking in at Burj Khalifa? To understand why Dubai is fragile, you must grasp its true nature. Dubai is often hailed by the media as a city of the future, a place that never sleeps, never runs out of money, and seems to have no limits. That's what everyone knows. But all of that is only true if you look from the front. The truth is, Dubai is not a city. It is a gigantic transit hub disguised under the guise of a paradise. In biology, if a body stops circulating blood, it will lose its life. Dubai is the same. It lives off the flow, the currents. Dubai is not rich because of what it produces. It is rich because of what passes through it. It is not a destination. It is an intersection, a global toll booth. The flow of goods from Asia to Europe, the flow of oil from neighboring countries, and the flow of capital from all over the planet. Everything just stops here long enough to be charged. But here is the crux. A logistics center does not mean a controller. The heart can pump blood, but it doesn't decide where the blood comes from. Dubai does not own the things that sustain it. It just stands in the right position to benefit from the movement of the world. And the scary thing is, the entire circulation system which sustains every air conditioner, every infinity pool in Dubai relies on a single passage. A bottleneck that Dubai has no right to intervene in. And all those flows have to pass through Hormuz. Look at this map. Do you see the narrow strip of water, curving like a rusty sickle, lying between Iran and Oman? That is the Strait of Hormuz. The world calls it a maritime route, but for the tycoons in Dubai, it is a proud, arrogant stranglehold. Every day, Hormuz swallows and spits out about 21 million barrels of oil, equivalent to 20% of the planet's total consumption. It is not just water and salt. It is the lifeblood that provides oxygen to modern civilization. We worship the flashing electronic boards on Wall Street, but in reality, your prosperity is being determined by a few sailors on those gigantic tankers squeezing through this narrow strait. And here is a truth that no travel brochure ever mentions. At its narrowest point, the shipping channel is only a mere 3 kilometers wide. Let me repeat, 3 kilometers. Just one ship sinking in the right spot, or a few anonymous mines dropped from the shadows, and the entire global energy system will collapse immediately. This is not a trade route. This is a switch. And this switch is not in the hands of the glamorous sheiks in Dubai. It is in the hands of those standing on the arid limestone ranges of Iran, quietly observing every breath of the Gulf region. Some have expressed skepticism. Would the US and the West really let that happen? Oh, the naivete is truly endearing. The army can protect a fleet, but they cannot protect trust. Just a small sound at Hormuz, and maritime insurance premiums will soar faster than the elevator of the Burj Khalifa. Logistics companies will flee. Jebel Ali Port, Dubai's pride, will suddenly become a graveyard of empty containers. You see, Dubai is not the player in this game. Dubai is just a pile of chips sitting snugly inside that switch. If the Strait of Hormuz can no longer hold, the city of records will become a diamond trap with no escape. Can you maintain a paradise when the economic oxygen is cut off overnight? It can be seen that the collapse of an empire sometimes does not start from an invasion, but from a tightening bottleneck. And for Dubai, an unwanted scenario is closer than ever. Welcome to the laboratory of collapse. Put aside the postcards of a dazzling Dubai under LED lights, for we are about to witness how a modern empire dismantles itself. No need for a grand confrontation, no need for the appearance of monsters from movies. Sometimes, the apocalypse begins with a small, lonely boom, lost in the vast ocean of the Strait of Hormuz. The first day, everything started on an ordinary morning. A gigantic oil tanker, a steel entity weighing hundreds of thousands of tons, suddenly came to a halt. Within the next 6 hours, the financial world began to show signs of alarm. The marine insurance companies in London, the coolest heads on the planet, picked up the phone. A line of command was executed. War zone insurance premiums skyrocketed tenfold. Immediately, other cargo ships, once the loyal workhorses of the global economy, began to turn back. They are not afraid of bullets. They are afraid of the numbers on the balance sheet. Hormuz is officially closed. Not with a barbed wire fence, but with an invisible wall of risk costs. Do you hear that? That is the sigh of Jebel Ali, the largest logistics gateway in the Middle East, as it realizes its next customer will never arrive. Can a city survive when its lifeblood is choked from the very first hour? Day 1. 3. Cracks on the gilded surface. While tourists at Dubai Mall were still engrossed in admiring the fountain, panic began to seep into the basements of the financial towers. World oil prices are dancing like a madman, soaring 20% overnight. But here's the point. Dubai doesn't sell oil to benefit from the price increase. Dubai consumes oil to operate its illusion. The airlines, the proud iron birds of Emirates, began to line up on the runway. Flying over a sea where insurance is denied is a financial suicide. Flights are canceled. The once bustling, luxurious lounges are now enveloped in an atmosphere thick with anxiety. Dubai is still bustling, the lights are still on, and the air conditioners are still blowing icy cold air into the desert. But deep within its structure, tiny cracks have begun to appear. Economics is a religion based on faith, and the belief in Dubai's inviolability is evaporating faster than the waters of the Gulf. Day 7. The suffocation of the flow. A week has passed. Jebel Ali Port, the once unceasing heartbeat of the Gulf, now lies terrifyingly silent. The giant crane arms stand alone like skeletons under the scorching sun. You need to understand this. Dubai is not just a city, it is a flow. 90% of what people eat, wear, and use here comes from containers passing through Hormuz. When the flow stops, luxury becomes a burden. The supermarket shelves began to reveal their emptiness. The carts that were once filled with French cheese and Australian beef now only have empty, soulless spaces left. Someone once wrote, "Dubai is too rich to fail." Oh, you might have billions of dollars in your account, but you can't eat those numbers when food supply ships are stuck off the coast of Fujairah. The city, which thrives on trade, is beginning to feel the hands of geography tightening around its throat. Day 14. The nightmare hidden behind the glass walls. 2 weeks without imported goods. Panic buying has erupted. The wealthiest people in the world, accustomed to having everything with just a swipe of a card, now have to scramble for each case of bottled water. This is the time to peel back the next layer. The fragility of social infrastructure. Dubai operates based on a massive foreign workforce from financial CEOs to construction workers under the 4 or 5 degree sun. When supermarkets are empty and prices skyrocket, social stability begins to waver. The workers realize that this paradise only exists if the supply chain is still functioning. When the access card can no longer open the supermarket doors, loyalty to an artificial city also disappears. Can an empire survive when its builders begin to question tomorrow's meal? Day 30. The collapse of trust. A month since Hormuz was locked down, this is the final phase of this brutal experiment. The real estate market, the last pillar of Dubai's confidence, has officially frozen. No one wants to buy $1 million apartment in a city whose future depends on the will of a hostile neighboring country. Let's look at our character. An office worker at the Dubai International Financial Center. He opened his phone in the morning, not to check stock prices, but to receive a brief email. The company has suspended operations indefinitely. He looked out the window. The skyscrapers were still there, but they no longer looked majestic. They looked like steel tombstones. He realized that he was just a cell in a body that had been cut off from its oxygen supply. His colleagues had started to flee, searching for the last flights to escape the diamond trap. Dubai did not collapse due to bombs and bullets. It collapsed because no one believed it would still be wealthy tomorrow. When faith is lost, the skyscrapers are just worthless concrete blocks waiting for the desert sands to cover them. Perhaps the collapse of Dubai is not merely a military event, but it could be an inevitability of geographical structure that no marketing campaign can cover up forever. Hormuz is not just a strait, it is a noose that Dubai has voluntarily placed around its own neck in exchange for short-term luxury. But if you think this is the end for the region, you are mistaken. Because in the old belief, there are always those quietly preparing for a new game. Do you want to know who really holds the key to this door? When Hormuz began to tighten, planners in the UAE did not sit idly by waiting for death. They have devised an ambitious escape plan, the Adcop oil pipeline, cutting through the harsh desert to directly reach the port of Fujairah, a place safely outside the mouth of the Hormuz Strait. Looking at the map, it resembles a brilliant lifeline. But let me peel away this layer of optimism. But what is the harsh truth? This pipeline can transport oil, but it cannot transport a city. You see, Dubai didn't collapse due to a lack of gas for supercars. It collapsed due to the disruption of the container, food supply chains, and financial trust. A crude oil pipeline cannot replace the thousands of giant cargo ships that carry the soul of the service economy. Fujairah, no matter how hard it tries, is just a small port compared to the giant Jebel Ali. It's like trying to save a beached whale with a bucket of seawater. You can build an oil pipeline, but you can never build a pipeline of investor trust. And here's the coldest twist in this geopolitical game. When Dubai starts to show signs of fatigue, its neighboring brethren will not rush in to save it. In the world of predators, the weakening of a symbol is a golden opportunity for those lurking behind. From Riyadh to Doha, new mega projects are quietly sharpening their blades, ready to swallow Dubai's market share, capital, and even its unfinished dreams. They will not save you. They will replace you. Dubai has spent decades building an impregnable kingdom, but in the end, they realized they were still just luxurious prisoners within the geographical trap of their own making. Can a kingdom exist when its protective walls are actually invisible bars? But the real question is not when Hormuz will close, but who is really holding the key to this door? We often look at the Strait of Hormuz as a mistake of creation, a geographical accident placed right at the gateway to wealth. But let me invite you to step into the grand hall of the ghosts of power, where maps are not drawn in colors but in boundaries. What is the truth? The Strait of Hormuz does not exist to be transparent. It exists to be threatened. This world does not operate based on absolute freedom. It operates based on a balance of fear. Global powers from Washington to Beijing actually do not want Hormuz to become too safe or fall entirely into the hands of a single force. Why? Because a bottleneck is the perfect control tool. If Dubai is too free, too immortal, it will become an entity beyond the reach of the old order's rules. Hormuz is the golden ring that the international community places on the head of this desert dragon to ensure that, no matter how high it flies, it must obediently serve the interests of those who hold the key to energy. But the problem is not that Dubai is too weak. The problem is that this world needs Dubai to have a weakness. Imagine a Middle East without Hormuz, a place where the flow of oil and goods drifts away like a breath. Then, who would need the military protection of the United States? Who will have enough power to punish Iran or exert pressure on the Gulf countries? Hormuz exists as a geopolitical pressure valve. It is the pretext for the presence of naval fleets, the reason for the imposition of sanctions, and the tool for maintaining a controlled state of tension. Dubai, with all its splendor, is merely a high-end hostage in this Game of Thrones. This city is allowed to shine, but never allowed to be free from the obsession with doom. An astute audience member once asked, why don't they form an alliance to completely eliminate this risk? The simple answer, because no one wants their opponent to sleep well. If Dubai becomes truly safe, it will no longer need the calculated handshakes of the West. The fragility of Dubai is the leverage of the great powers. They nurture the opulence of this city with one hand, and the other hand is always poised over the switch at Hormuz. This is not an unintended incident. This is a design, a system in which the potential collapse of Dubai is the price to pay to maintain the planet's energy order. You can build the tallest tower in the world, but you can never construct an escape from the chessboard, where you are merely a knight destined for sacrifice. The prosperity of Dubai is a gift accompanied by a cold contract. You enjoy the splendor, but your life belongs to the guard at the narrow gate. So, when the illusion of immortality fades, what will remain amidst these golden sands? Dubai is often described as a triumph of humanity over nature, a place where the desert is subdued and boundaries are erased with money. But perhaps that's just the way the story is told. If you take a step back, far enough to see the whole picture, Dubai doesn't look like a fortress. It resembles a stage illuminated brilliantly, as long as the electricity keeps running. And that electricity does not come from within. It comes from the ships, the routes, the flows that Dubai has never truly owned, a system it benefits from, but does not control. We often think of wealth as a form of power, but in geopolitics, real power does not lie in how much you have, but in whether you can disconnect others or not. Hormuz, in that way, is not a weakness of Dubai. It is a reminder that every system has a switch, and that switch is often in someone else's hands. Dubai was not built on sand, but was built on a route they do not control, and when that road disappears, everything that remains is just an illusion. Of course, this does not mean that Dubai will collapse tomorrow. The world rarely operates according to such extreme scenarios. But history shows one simple thing. Systems that depend on a single point do not need to be completely destroyed, just need to be interrupted at the right moment. So the question is not whether Dubai will collapse or not, but rather, how will it react when the flow that sustains it is no longer stable? If you find this perspective worth pondering, please leave your thoughts below. If you had $1 million, would you bet on Dubai or look for a place as far from the Strait of Hormuz as possible? And if you want to continue unraveling similar illusions, systems that seem solid but are built on invisible weaknesses, subscribe to the channel. Note: this video is not intended to predict the future, but rather to provide a different perspective on existing geopolitical risks. Because sometimes, the most dangerous thing is not what is about to happen, but rather what we believe will never happen. Thank you for watching until the end. See you in the next videos.